Yo, what's good, Benin City? The Onplanned podcast is here, episode 3. My name is Mo Fame. You know the vibes. The South is always outside. And today I have somebody, what's the word now? Somebody that's phenomenal in all ramifications. Maybe not all, but nearly all ramifications. He is, I'm looking for words to qualify this man, and it doesn't happen all the time. He's a walking encyclopedia. Not the Dino Melaya or Bayagbon type, no. He's a walking encyclopedia. He is a man that has vast knowledge in a bit of everything, and he started off from here. They are responsible for my lack of church in my childhood. That has now surmounted into me not attending church at all in this my very old age. And then because I wanted to go church that time, they used to host Breakfast Groove. It was him, Sulaiman Alede, Andy Bello. Who else was on there? Chris and Abs. It was later Chris and Abs joined. There's one guy that always, is it Musty?
The mystical Musty.
Yes, Musty was on there as well. So they had Breakfast Groove down. If you lived in Benin at the time, you would know that every Sunday to go church na wahala. We just tell your mama say you know well or you dey sick. Just have one light talk so that if you watch Breakfast Groove on Sundays, and pretty much just shaped our childhood and led us into the urban contemporary scene as we know it today. They pretty much broke artists at the time. There was one part that they had, Rep Your Hood, Breakfast Groove. That was where I knew who Sleazy was, who Cyrus was, and a couple other people as well. I'm talking about Fidel Castro. He's here with the Onplanned team this afternoon. Fidel.
What's up, man?
Nice to have you here.
Same.
And by the way, he doesn't live in the city, for those who are wondering. He just came in and we said, yo, we got to do this. And we had to do it. Welcome to the podcast.
Gracias.
So let's get into it. I know you're a man who pretty much has the backstory of virtually a lot of entertainers right at the back of your palm. You have it. And I'm looking forward to you sharing quite a lot with us on the podcast. But first, let's talk about your journey for a bit. How did you delve into broadcasting?
All right. Sorry, I lost my voice, but I hope they can hear me well and stuff.
It's fine.
Broadcasting for me started a very long time ago. I first heard the name Fidelis Blackburn on Oseghale back on Bender Broadcasting Service, and I kept remember asking people, what do you need to do, to talk on radio? And that's pretty much for me then. While my friends were still trying to write jam and all of that, the first jam I wrote, I got 205, second batch, Law, Uniben. But at the time, I lived on 30 Secular Road. I practically grew up there. So many lawyers that I saw, they didn't live up to expectation. It wasn't encouraging. I thought they were really poor and all of that. Lack of mentorship, you might want to call that. So I wrote my second poly jam because I couldn't wait for another university jam. That's how I got my first start. Started out as student mass communication, Auchi Polytechnic. And in 99, during my internship, I was shipped out to the newsroom of Edo Broadcasting Service. I was in the newsroom. My first assignment was to cover the EBS shopping fair. That was sometime in December of 99. So I was there. Then a friend of mine and classmates, Mustafa Sumayana, popularly known as the Mystical Musti, was shipped out to programs. So he walked up to me in the newsroom, one morning and said, I have this write-up. It's for a show. I know you know how to read this stuff. So look through and let me know what you think. So I checked it out. I said it was a good idea. The name of the show was Breakfast Rendezvous. I told him, man, this thing is good, though. But how do you, I want to be part of this too, because, while in school, we were rocking the microphone, doing shows and all of that. So he said, okay, why not? Went over to the program's head at the time. His name was Cyril Omovude. So Cyril took a look at it and said, okay, go meet Hussein Salami. So we went to Hussein Salami's, God bless his soul, his office, and he saw it. He said he liked it. Now, the original plan for Breakfast Groove was 2 presenters in the studio, 2 presenters on the street, and one side attraction, which was done by Obaseme Sezobo. She was a law student at the time. So now there was a problem. Good write-up. Everything was fine by him. But because you guys are interns, we can't allow you, do a TV show. So just when he was trying to admonish us and tell us how encouraged, or rather how impressed he was Sulaiman Ale, they just walked by and he said, Sulai, come. These two boys, they have a crazy idea. What do you think? And Sulai looked at it and said, rendezvous is too formal. Groove, breakfast groove, you know. And we fine-tuned the what's it called now? The segments. Started on a Tuesday, 2 hours, 8 to 10. There was supposed to be the in-house, the guys in the studio, you do your music. Then there was a segment called Opinion Showcase, where we do like a vox pop. That was Musti and I. Then there was another one called Stars and Styles. That was to be handled by Obaseme Sezobo. You know, so that was how they pretty much wrote it. So we're happy that at least we're going to be on TV. So on March 7th, 2000, was coming into the studio. I saw a very lanky, tall guy with Sulaiman Ale there, and we were really pissed. This was the arrangement. Why would Sulai bring an additional guy? You know, he now introduced us and said, that's Andy Bello. And that was how we did the very first episode of Breakfast Groove on the 7th of March. So
prior to when you met Andy in the studio, you had never met him?
Never seen him ever.
Never seen him ever?
No.
So, and you guys just went in and did the show?
Unfortunately, we couldn't edit our segments. So the first edition of Breakfast Groove just had us coming to the live air to just say, when they were rounding off, saying their byes, we just came in and said hello and all of that. So we didn't do the Opinion Showcase that week. It was the following week.
But how would you say Breakfast Groove shaped the entertainment industry in this path?
Well, at the time we started Breakfast Groove, there were just two presenters doing entertainment in Benin at the time. ITV, we had pure entertainment, that is not magazine shows, pure entertainment shows. We had Spice at DBC Aliu doing lunch break. Then Sammy Davis, the music machine. These were just two guys. I would have added a third, which was Don General, but he was doing reggae shows, on radio. So basically that was how it was. And Breakfast Groove now became a go-to. Before I go to how it shaped, I didn't know Sulai had an idea in his head at the time, because Sulai was going to be shipped out for his NYC. I just graduated Uniben Philosophy. I was waiting for his call-up. So September of that year, Sulai shipped out to Abakaliki, where I eventually did my NYC. And it was now Andy Bello and I in the studio. Mystical Musti was still doing the Opinion Showcase. And Obaseme Sezobo, I think, I don't know, she just sort of fizzled out. I think she couldn't keep up with the pace at the time, because to edit a video at the time, we're using VHS.
One hell of a task.
We're using VHS. There was no internet in Nigeria. So our go-to for entertainment would be Source Magazine, would be Vibes Magazine, would be Ebony Magazine, GQ, the Gentleman Quarterly. So these were just magazines that we were, really used to, even though the internet was just starting to pop up. But it was really expensive going to the cyber cafe. And sometimes it takes a long time for you to source for materials, because it boots in analog versions.
I was just going to ask how you people were able to source for materials back in the day, and just try as much as possible to keep us up to speed with happenings around the world.
We were doing foreign music, basically. You could get foreign music videos, people record via satellite. Mostly at the time, was really helpful. They record via satellite, BT. At the time also, you couldn't have a logo of a channel in a local channel, in a local station. So if you're recording MTV, that MTV logo must not show on the screen. Yeah, you need to blow or, block it. BT, MTV. So it was really difficult for us. So we just sourced magazine. We sourced visuals from the internet. Now, at the time also, Lagos was also popping, but in Benin we had so many songs. I think we nicknamed those songs Ilalobo, where you play local Benin songs. But at that time we never really did play that. We just wanted, indigenous guys to do hip hop, just like they do in Lagos, because at the time we had a few musicians. We had Plantation Boys, we had Remedies, we had Defo Clan, we had Sounds of Town, God bless his soul. We had the tribesmen that eventually metamorphosed into that tribe, and freestyle. They were just, then Paul Play, Ike Dairo. These were the guys that we liked. But apart from that, we also wanted clean videos. The guys there couldn't really get very clean videos, because very few of them. The only person that had a hip hop video that could call a hip hop video was a guy called Jackie Sula, and another guy who passed in Uniben. His name was Chronic G. You know, apart from those ones, we didn't really have. And one guy, Osho Apachino.
Pacino.
You know, we really didn't have guys who had music videos. So we play about 90% foreign videos and 10% local videos.
So yeah, it brings me back to the question: how do you think Breakfast Groove as a show shaped the urban entertainment here? Do you think it influenced people to start trying as much as possible to get videos done? And how well did you and your team contribute to making that happen?
Okay, Sula, like I said at the outset, you know, shipped out to Abakaliki in September of 2000, and it was difficult getting videos, like I said. But people were tuned to Breakfast Groove. I don't know, because Breakfast Groove started on a Tuesday, so they now had to move it to Sunday because we need to battle. Victor Imade at the time, Good Morning from Benin on ITV, had the entire city on lockdown. You know, so we wanted a situation where we could share from that his viewership, and that was how they moved Breakfast Groove from Tuesday mornings to Sunday mornings. Now they had to cut it down to 1 hour, 8 to 9 o'clock. Now we needed to do something different from what we were doing, because Breakfast Groove always metamorphosed from how it started, began to metamorphose and all of that. So Andy now whispered some devilish stuff into my ears one morning and said, Fidel, now why don't we begin to play only Nigerian music, African music? I was like, no, that's not going to be possible. How do you get African music, Nigerian music? And he said, no, I think it's something that can be done. And that was how we said, okay, no qualms, let's see how it goes. But it was going to be gradual. They were going to swap it, 80% Nigerian music, maybe 20% or less foreign music. And this was in 2001, you know. Andy was in school, I was in school, so every other weekend we just come, you know, down to Benin, say we come back on Friday. Andy was practically producing the show, you know. He sorts out for guests and all of that. Now, there was a studio that was also helping us with clean videos. I mean, they were supposed to pay. I mean, Righteous Man Productions. At the time, he had a way he did clean videos, you know. I think it was the first time we were having very clean videos. I would have added Akbata, but Akbata was more into adverts. Then there was also Erasmus, who was working for Akbata at the time, South and Sound. And when Erasmus left, he now named his site Pro Sound. All right. So these were the guys that had videos. So we just pick Lagos videos. Kenny's Music, we had a plug. Kenny's Music, bring the videos from their artists, you know. Then we'd have ours, and we just play. So at the time, like I said, Jackie was in there. There was Osho Apachino, and that was in 2001. Maybe, no, KG1 was not available at the time. So we're just playing more of Nigerian videos. Now, out of the 80% that I talked about, we had about 70% from Lagos. And Nigerians were beginning to like the show, because every other show, Saturday Spice, every other entertainment show, they'll play foreign videos, 50 cents and all of that. But on Breakfast Groove, you get to see Nigerian musicians, and Nigerians actually loved Nigerian musicians, and they saw where we were going with that, and that was how we were able to pull, you know, we're able to pull the viewership, if you like. We increased the viewership, and that year Breakfast Groove got the first award, entertainment show of the year. So that was how it started, and people began to pay attention, you know, to Nigerian music videos, whether they were good or not. They were of the opinion that if this is from us, and through that part, other persons were encouraged, local stars that we have here who were also trying to grow. And it was from then, and the Bello said, why don't we do, at the time, Mystical mostly had a camera, you know, a camcorder. So, and the Bello now said, why don't we do something like, you know, representing where you come from, you know, represent your hood, so that we go to different locations, different areas in Benin, you know, to just shoot guys who love hip-hop. At the time, everybody loved hip-hop. There was no R&B and all of that. It was just hip-hop.
Yes.
And we named it, Nigerians named it Afro hip-hop, which is our hip-hop style done in Nigeria and Africa. You know, that's how that genre started, Afro hip-hop. So, represent your hood. You go to different locations. All you needed to do was to write us a letter. There were no phones. You know, you write us a letter, or you come through, you know, write us a letter that my name is XYZ. I live at Uselu, number 15, Oseghale Street. My name is XYZ. I can do stuff. I have an instrumental. I can represent my hood. And that was how Represent Your Hood started. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about payola for a bit and how it was back then. There are people from your era that are constantly talked down on now because of how much payola they accepted from back in the day. People just basically feel like I paid you for all you did for me, so I don't have to respect you for whatever you are now. You didn't offer me any encouragement or any free service of some sort. I came to you. You told me how much to pay. I paid. It was basically like I gave you a job and you did. So there's no need to respect you, right? It has. I've heard it. I wouldn't want to mention names now on the podcast because they are not here until they come here. But I've just heard it about people from your era a lot. How did you guys handle payola, seeing that you were students and were barely able to take care of yourselves at the time, yet you set out to do this enormous task, but you would jump into financial hurdles and all of that. How are you able to cater to that, and what was the role that payola played?
Okay, talking about payola, at the time we were doing Breakfast Groove, like I told you, and the Bello was practically producing the show. All right, he comes with the materials and stuff. Then sometimes he tells me, there's this guy we need to interview and all of that. So each time that happened, we just went back home after the show. And nothing comes out, Like I said, I had just known Andy at the time. We're not friends. We're just co-presenters. He was the lead anchor. We just finished the show and we go home. And that's it. So on a particular day, I remember Righteous Man coming through. That was sometime in 2002. Maybe I have to go back to Represent Your Hood later. But Righteous Man came through one of these days, 2002. He had finished the interview. Righteous Man just went. And I asked Andy, I remember asking him, what's up? This guy is rich. I mean, every other person who comes through, yeah, we know they have no money. But if you are well-to-do by our rating, you're supposed to do something. And I remember I tell him with a blank face, go and ask him. And I made a mistake. I regretted that, but I learned from it. I went to Righteous Man, went to his car, and he grudgingly gave me 1,000 naira. This was in 2002. 5 notes of, no, was that 200 naira at the time?
There was already.
Yeah, 2002. But I know he gave me 1,000 naira. And the way he gave it to me, I felt little. I felt small. I went to Andibelo and said, he gave me 1,000 naira. And Andibelo said, okay. But that was a lesson. Never ask. Do it for the love. Never ask. And from that time, I never really asked. Now, this was our modus operandi at the time. If you're a Lagos artist, they actually offer, you just don't ask them. So, Lagos artists come and they say, take this and take that. And that was how this payola thing happened. So in our heads, yeah, our guys can end up not paying anything. But if you're coming from outside, you should do something. And by and large, we also did not ask them. Because these guys, they have their plugs. They'll come in and tell you, these are 4 songs from Kenny's music stable. These are 4 videos that we are playing. They just don't bring one video. They can give you 4 videos. And they say, he wants you guys to have this. So apart from that, there was nothing like payola. You paying?
Well, are you saying they weren't your guys at the time, your colleagues at the time, perhaps at other TV stations who were adamant on asking and collecting before service was done?
My colleagues at the time were relatively very few.
Yeah, out of the very few.
I'm asking. Yeah, out of the very few, I never really heard stuff about payola. I heard stuff about payola late years to come. But at that time, I think the only person that actually stylishly would talk about payola would be Sammy Davis. And the Bello didn't really collect. I didn't collect. Spice didn't collect. And like I said, Don General was just doing reggae. There was no other person. So that was how the show moved on until Andy talked about doing a music show called the Sound Olympics in 2003. And at that time, he was winding up. He was going to bow out of the show of Breakfast Group. So we did Sound Olympics, and we had stars come all over. Some of the guys that have been discovered from Represent Your Hood.
Yeah.
Like the day they discovered Cyrus, I was back in school. I think I was writing exams, so I was not there. But I remember they were the Maccabees. That was their name. There was Lorenzo. There was Cyrus. There was a guy called Scientific. You know, it was the following week that I came through. I saw it on TV. You know, the three guys. They called them the Maccabees, and Cyrus said, and the middle said, that's the Maccabees.
So are you aware if there was anything that you or the team, the Breakfast Group team, did to ensure that Cyrus had a video financially? Because, you know, Cyrus has been here and has talked about him basically paying for his video with his school fees money.
I don't know if he paid for his video with his school fees money, but I remember the first video he did with the com was shot at Autopec. I was there briefly. I left. I can't readily remember who shot that video, you know. But whether you're supposed to shoot your video, you're supposed to pay to shoot your video. So I can't speak for him in that regard. With regards to shooting your videos, I think people should pay for videos.
You guys were instrumental in breaking the video, weren't you?
Yes. We practically played Cyrus on, if there were 10 Sundays in a year, we played Cyrus 8 Sundays in a year. Not because he
and all of that for next to nothing.
Cyrus has never paid me 1 naira. Thank God he's alive. He's never paid me a dime to play his video. I don't think Cyrus has ever given me cash in his life.
Wow. I
don't think so. And if he has, let's assume he does have, then let me quantify everything in the last 20. I've been around now 24 years. The last 24 years, if Cyrus has given me money all together in his entire lifetime, maybe it will be 12,000 naira. I don't want to say 10.
24 years, that's an average of 500 naira a year.
I'm not saying he has given me 12 either.
So I'm just asking.
I'm just saying. Cyrus has never paid me a dime to play his songs. Because I'd always liked Cyrus from the time he started. Now let me tell you a bit about Cyrus the Virus. When the Maccabees video broke, Cyrus was like the flag bearer. You know, was like the flag bearer when he did with the com. You know, it was apart from a group called, I remember the name of the group. They wear overalls and they carry backpacks. There were 3 guys too. Yeah, in Benin. A long time ago, 2003, 02, 03, 04. But they never did shoot a video. But they were guys with they were always hanging out with Ovia Whiskey. You know. I don't know why I don't remember their names. So that same thing was enacted in that video. You know, they were mechanics. You saw Lorenzo in that video, you saw Cyrus and all of that. So Cyrus was like the flag bearer because the first hip hop guy that attempted doing a video in Benin was Chronic G. You know, he died. All right, Chronic G died. It would have been Knighthood. Knighthood never really shot a video. You know, you could see stage performances.
How famous they were.
Yeah, they were very famous. I thought they were the biggest rap group out of Nigeria. I felt so 23 years ago. I feel so now. You know, their stagecraft was out of it was out of nowhere. I mean, the way they creep on stage and all of that. You know, the performances was really, really cool. So, because most of these guys didn't have videos, so Cyrus was like the front runner, you know, was like the torch bearer. So we just liked Cyrus. And I remember the first time we interviewed Rugged Man, you know, Rugged Man mentioned Cyrus the Virus. I was shocked. I mean, nobody really went to Lagos at this time, you know. I was shocked that these guys knew. So that at the time, you could actually be in Benin and people heard about you in Lagos, in Port Harcourt, you know, because of what you do. So Cyrus was like a flag bearer. We loved Cyrus, not because he did something extra. Cyrus would always make the lineup.
If you had your way, would you have supported him the way you wholeheartedly did? If you know then what you know now.
What do you mean? What I know now?
What you know now about the industry and everything associated with it.
Let me tell you how that starts. I'll give you a story. Most of these guys who didn't have money to pay us, they go to Lagos and they beg with money.
Exactly.
I felt bad with that because I feel strongly that whatever you're going to do, if you're going to be a masquerade, you first dance at home before you go to the public, you know. And these guys come and tell you there's no money. I was going to say something about Black IQ, but I won't say. So now, when somebody tells you I don't have money, and you hear at this time, as we've been connecting with our Lagos guys, now we not also had a network, you know. Presenters know presenters because the stations in Nigeria were very few. No presenters, this presenter will know that presenter and all of that. So it was not like a small village. This guy comes and says, Baba, please play this song. And the same guy goes to Lagos and says, Baba, with 10,000. 10,000 was huge then. So when I say 10,000, don't
you think they were using the home advantage thing? Like if I have Fidel by my side, Andy behind me, and Musty and the likes, why would I have to pay? Because it's my house. So they would have to support me, and then I would go to where I'm not known and then have to pay.
The thing is, these things free. I moved the wrong belly. Now, at the time, in 03, the time I talk about right now, I had left school. I was getting, I was doing my NYSC and stuff.
Yeah.
I began to hear stuff, you know. And there was now a new generation coming from behind us who would tell you, I get paid to play this song. It's not like we didn't know. We're just doing it for the love and the culture. Because I remember Andy Bello left Breakfast Grove in Obasemi Sezobo had gotten married. It was just me. It was just Andy Bello and I. Andy Bello told me I'm going to leave. Andy Bello left. Now, I was serving back in Abakaleke because I served the same place with Sulaiman Ale, the same station, but in broadcasting service. And I was just the only one left. If I go for my mandatory NYSC, then Breakfast Group will naturally die. So during the Sunday mornings, on Sunday mornings, Chris reads the news. Chris Enabs, he reads the news because first time I met Chris Enabs in person was when he produced the movie. I interviewed him in Breakfast Group. He actually dashed us 2K back then.
So he's one of those who gave without asking.
Yeah. So I didn't know it was a bribe. So Chris, he would tell me sometimes, I like this show. I'm like, hey, cool, thank you. I thought it was just, I appreciate what you guys do and all of that. So here is the news. So one Sunday morning, I called him. I was like, would you like to join? Because I'll also be going for my NYC. Let's just do this thing together for like 6 months, and I'll try to come every other month in 2003, to join the show. He was very happy. So that was how I brought Chris.
So I tell you what, and what the streets are saying. The streets are saying you should have let Breakfast Group die a natural death instead of handing it over to someone like Chris. Because with someone like Chris, Breakfast Group did not only die a natural death, it died unnaturally because people just stopped fucking with it.
I was in my early 20s. I was dumb. We can't see the future. All right. So, but Chris held it down. But what I was doing, I made sure I came in from Abakaleke, which is 7 hours away. I don't know if it's shorter now. Nigerian roads are very bad. You know that. So 7 hours away at the time. So I will make sure I come in once in 3 weeks or sometimes once in 1 month, just to catch up. Because
he did die a natural death though.
Yeah, he did. I know he did.
It wasn't climatic. It wasn't like, this series is ending and all of that. It just went away.
I tell you why I think so. I agree with you. I thought in my head I was going to come back after NYC, to continue in 2004. Yeah. And immediately after that, I don't know. Words are really powerful. I had said in my unholy state that, God, please, I want a job after a maximum of 3 months. Less than a maximum of 3 months after NYC. And guess what? I got a job as a contract staff at Mobile Unlimited, Lagos. And that was the first time my life changed around. I'd always done radio and TV. So now I was doing management kind of thingy. But it was just a contract for a few months. And I ended just when I thought I was going to leave. I ended in February of 2005. Just when I thought I was going to leave, a friend of mine calls me up to say, hey, let's come to my station in Lagos now. Let's come and meet my boss. And as I shipped out, I went to Rhythm FM. The first two guys I met, Tokumbo was a cameraman. The first time I interviewed Daniel Wilson, he had just released his album, Don Dada. So the cameraman was Tokumbo. And years later, I found out that that was actually DJT. You know, then Wild Child. Sometimes I sneak in the studio. There was Wild Child. There was LD the Dawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was LD extra large.
There was XG. No, not LD the Dawn. XD extra large. Yeah. The guy that eventually moved to Port Harcourt. Yeah. You know, and I was in the newsroom, you know, writing stuff. So most times I give them the bulletins, and I was hoping I was going to make the course. So that's how I stayed at Reading for like a year. Yeah, I was still popping to Benin, because Benin is like my playground. Because most times I say, I don't know if it's pride, but most times I say every part of Benin, the streets of Benin has a bit of me in them. Because if I could blend fully, I mean, if I could, what's that word now? Unconsciously change a generation from going to church on Sunday, which means every single household.
You made that happen, and it's on you.
Yeah,
it's on you. You're going to hell for that.
But I still go. I mean, after the show, I still go to church.
But you're going to hell for ensuring that
it's just Andy Bello. Andy Bello never really liked the church thingy. You know, I doubt Andy Bello has gone to church 5 times in his lifetime, apart from weddings. So I would always go from, I mean, after breakfast with 9, it was 8 to 9. So stayed at Reading for a while. It was later I found out that Wild Child was Ike Osakido. I didn't know. You know, I just knew him as Wild Child. So after that 2005, I came back to Benin, to Breakfast Grove. And I remember having a fight with Chris one time. I played music all through. I didn't want anybody to be in the studio. I mean, you couldn't wear a black lace to a Breakfast Groove. You're supposed to wear jeans and sneakers and stuff. You wore black lace. I said, you're not going to come on the show today.
My God.
So the presentation director was very angry. I was like, I am the producer of this show. I decide what goes on the show. That's what producers do. I can't be wearing T-shirts and you are like my boss, you're wearing lace. Not even native lace. So at the time, the show was nosediving. So 2006, I left again. This time for Amsterdam Box Office, Ambo 2, Season 2. The one that was eventually won by the actor known as Oseghale. You know. I don't want to tell you why I was evicted. So that happened.
I know why you were evicted. But
that happened. Again, I came back to Benin. So we now try to change the dynamics of the show. Now, I began to feel bad because many guys were collecting payola. And the artists who paid this payola to, not just Lagos presenters, but presenters in Benin, I was the one they were disrespecting. They saw the ones collecting payola from them as gods. And in my head, if I could turn back the hands of the clock, maybe I would have done differently. I would have told my path differently. You know, at the time, that was what I was thinking. I felt bad. I remember an artist giving me 2,000 naira to play his song. He had told everybody in his neighborhood I was going to play his song on Breakfast Groove, and I didn't play that Sunday. And he calls me up. This time I was managing a pub or a lounge called Timeout, Fun Paradise on Ihama. You know, and that was where I met FX, but I'll talk about FX in a bit. Now, the guy said, give me my 2,000 back. His name was Black IQ. I said, okay, come to Timeout in the evening, come collect your 2K. Because I did not ask him, he just said, Baba, take. You know. I said, okay, come collect it. I was inside Mr. Biggs. That was not the branch FX worked at. I was inside Mr. Biggs on Airport Road, and he came over. Like, take your 2K. I was like, no, I didn't mean it like that. It's just that I told everybody we're going to play and all of that. You know, I wasn't angry. I was like, okay, no, I'll take the 2K now, you won't do them. I was like, no, Baba, now, leave that in and none of that. I went in. I mean, at the time, he didn't drink. I don't know if he drinks alcohol now. You know.
The chronic one now.
Okay. He never drank alcohol at the time. So we just sat down and, you know, we resolved that, you know, beef. You know, I didn't understand why people would collect money from seemingly persons who also are hustling. You know, that was why I didn't collect payola. But that was 2007. Now coming back to this year, let's say coming back to this era that I am now glad that I never really collected payola from anyone. I can't remember me asking any musician. That is why I think I fight with 3.6 because of this line. I think every artist that I've come through, that I've seen, are not very nice people. Very ungrateful guys. Yeah.
Maybe
in
you
time
should
to come.
expatiate on that.
Now they tell you you've never done stuff for them. People forget. I have a photographic memory. God has blessed people
I
with
thought you were
different
gonna say
stuff.
pornographic, but
No, not pornographic.
you have
God,
that too.
God,
but
God, God,
it's okay.
God has a way of blessing people individually. Everybody was blessed with a skill, with a craft. Nobody ever taught me how to cut hair. I'm a very good barber. I mean, growing up, I've not cut in a long time now, right? I was doing comb and razor blade. You know, that was the skill. And the other skill that God bestowed in me is, except I choose to forget, I never forget. I never ever forget stuff. So, when you do for people, and you hear in years to come that this person never did stuff for me, you feel bad. But why you shouldn't feel very bad or dwell on it so much is because there's a supreme being. He has a way of paying you back. That's why they say, what's that thing they call can I say bitch?
Of course.
Karma is a bitch. He has a way it comes back at you. I've seen people have practically let me tell you about experience Oligbese. How I met Oligbese. I know I wrote that thing on Facebook some time ago. Andy said it was flawed. But Andy and I didn't meet Oligbese the same day. Because Oligbese's sister or cousin, I don't know how related they were. I mean, not comfortable. I think she's still in EBS. She had told me that she has a brother that she wants me to play the song. I said, okay. And that day, Oligbese was in the studio. The day I met him. You know, very shy guy. Sat down and I was like, okay. But that day was not it was not breakfast groove. But normally when we go to EBS, we just go to the studio. I mean, to support people presenting. There was Emeka Ote was the first presenter of African Reading, for example, before Margaret Quist. You know, then sometimes St. Patrick's would be in the studio. Dancer train that became Hit Train would just pop in, you know. So that's how I knew Oligbese. So he gave me the cassette. Over time, you keep playing and playing, but I know that rule in broadcasting, when they don't hear you or see you in 3 months, you are forgotten totally, is a fact. So sometimes you hear now that when people are talking about their story, they will you'll be conspicuously missing. These are guys who would come and beg. I was not older than them. I was older than some. Some were older than me. You will not see your name prominently, even in your early days. Some will go as far as saying, he never did stuff for me. God is looking at you and saying, are you sure you are okay? Okay, this guy is going to, I'm talking from a human point of view.
Totally understand.
This guy is going to supposed to blow. This guy, okay, maybe he was supposed to blow next month. Let me just add 3 years. Do you understand? Never forget good deeds, no matter how small. Never ever forget good deeds. It's a rule in life. If you say they did something for you, it doesn't matter. Some people think if the video says this person wrote this song, it doesn't belittle you. So back to Black IQ. After that, we sorted that stuff out. I was in charge of Timeout, the stage where artists come. I mean, we had some of the biggest shows there too. Most of the biggest artists came there. And that was the first time I met FX, the entertainer, you know. And 3.6 was the one who said, Fidel, this guy is my guy. You know, and all of that. Hey, brother, Alpha, what's up?
3.6 used to roll with FX back in the day.
I don't know his crew.
But he did say my guy.
He said his guy.
He had like a connection.
I think so. Of course, definitely. He wouldn't be his guy, you know. And I don't know if that was his first stage doing comedy. Because this was back in 2006. I had just come from Amsterdam box office. I came back sometime very early December. You know, it was that December period where you had shows, where you had all these guys come from abroad and, you know, spend some time with their loved ones in December, you know. So, and that was how I met FX, you know, and a few other guys, them Sean P, you know, and some of the other guys, you know. So that's basically, so it was like a close-knit, the story is usually close-knit when you're talking about entertainment.
And then why is there a lot of, there's a lot of discrepancies, despite how close-knit it is. You still have people tell stories of the same venue, the same time, the same space, yet it's contradictory, right? Is it that people just tell stories to fit them or their narration or their narrative, or they want to twist facts to make it seem like nobody really did a thing for me? I came to on my own. I'm a one-man army thing. I'm selfless. I've been selfless from the jump, and now I did where I did. Nobody basically did anything for me, and all of that. Why do you think these stories are always distorted, despite the fact that it happened at about the same time, with the same people, the same space, the same venue? Yet you just have like three, not closely related, three different versions of events.
Excuse me. People like to hear the sounds of their voices. Everybody has a bad habit. My own, maybe I'm too blunt.
I was gonna come.
They don't like me because I'm blunt.
Nobody really. I don't think there is anybody in your circle that. Okay, but perhaps because I've not seen you in a bit, and then you tap into town and they're like, "Oh, welcome, Babami. It's good to see you," and then they chill with you for the evening, and then right after that they say, "Oh, this is why I don't like this guy," because you actually do come off as intimidating. You come shitting on their knowledge level because they feel like they know, and then you come and say you don't know this. This is exactly what it is, and then you prove it to them. I've been there over and over again, and the streets talk, and I'm in the streets as always, and I have my ears to the ground. And most of the time while we're talking in your absence, you always just say, "Look, you are too blunt. You are intimidating. You like to just come here and show yourself, like say you too know." And these are some of the people who would be around you when you are in town. Don't you think you are who you say you are?
Unfortunately, I know stuff. No, it's true. I know stuff, and I know how to give credit to people I learned from. I tell them a lot. Until, if you ask my close friends, they'll tell you I go to the club with at least a novel. If you go to EBS, they tell you they'll never see me without a book. But that is not to say, in Benin, I grew up in Teddy Secular. Why we raise our voices, not because we are shouting or intimidating you. That's how we argue at Teddy Secular. But every single cat you've mentioned, except you mention names, I know their story. From 1999 till 2011, every single cat in this town, I know their story. That's the truth. I know their story, at least half of their story. Not their life story, but their music story or their entertainment story. And I hate it when people bend it. There was the time I got a call. I think I was chilling with some persons. I think Godfather was there. Piccolo, the comedian, was also there. I was just chilling, and I don't know where that conversation came from. "Shut up there, you will be Andy Bello, boy." I said, "Don't belittle Andy Bello. If I say I'm his boy, it should be a source of joy, a source of pride. Unfortunately, I'm not. I'm not anybody's boy. Based on the story I told you on how Breakfast Groove evolved, I put a call through to Andy Bello. I put the phone on speaker. I said, "You say what you just said. I shouldn't ask so that it won't seem like I'm here. That's why I was asking." And Piccolo said, "Hey, they talk to that your boy Fidel Castro." And the Bello said, "No, Fidel Castro not my boy." That does not belittle him. That does not diminish his status in the industry. People just like to hear their own versions. There are some people, I know their story from the very beginning. They have forgotten that beginning. And they'll tell you this person discovered me. I say, no. It is not so. That is why I feel pissed sometimes when somebody like Rema says, "The prince discovered me." Hell no. The prince did not discover Rema. First time I saw him was at Peak Entertainment's
Dream
Alive show. Himself and one of that guy, they call them Alpha A. R and A. Rema and Alpha P. Or Alpha A.
R and A. Rema and Alpha.
They were just two guys. So if you had done a video, you had done. I've seen interviews they came to do in Lagos. How then did you get discovered after you were discovered? I don't like such stories. It doesn't take anything from you to say that this person discovered me or that person discovered me. The only person we could probably give props to I could give props to would be Hussein Salami. Hussein Salami didn't say, Sulai, make sure say them day. He said, Sulai, these guys have a crazy idea. Please, because they are intense, they cannot do the show alone on TV. You be midwife the entire thing. But I still give him that props. Sulai is my boss. When you even ask him, he would disagree. But I see him that way. You know, so that's basically what it is. People just won't say what they want to hear by themselves. And it is wrong. That is why people's stories are so distorted that they want you to hear the middle. They don't want you to hear from the beginning. How can somebody say I've lived in GRA all my life when I knew, or rather when I know that when you were 15, you were living as secondary secular. I even knew your parents. You go rent house when you did 15 years.
Why can't you just let that go, though?
No, I'm just saying. You asked me a question.
In this context, I mean, this is why they always say, you know, you are blunt and intimidating and all of that. Like, somebody's trying to share his truth. Perhaps the person wants his story to set off from that point. So why don't you just, you know, respect that story and let it go? Perhaps the person doesn't want to remember from age 0 to 15.
I've let it go.
That's a possibility.
That's why I left the city.
Because if you were in the city, you would always just say,
maybe I won't do radio. Maybe I won't. I mean, maybe I won't have been doing TV. You know, but you know how it is. Like when somebody pinches you and you tell me you only came to Benin in 2012. No, not 2022. I mean, what I mean, are you there since? It's like 3.6 telling me that. It's like 3.6 telling me that I used to jam with Oritswiliki. No, not Oritswiliki. That's reggae. I used to jam with
Victor Wife.
No need.
But now that brings us to the final lap of the conversation, which is, you know, the beef and the backbiting and the disrespect. Only one jar. You know, we have spoken, you have touched on it for a bit, but I'd love for you to just go off on this subject matter. We see the beef every day. We've seen people, like you've said, people who have been of help, people you have been of help to come out right and disrespect you publicly, even though they would come to apologize later. I've seen quite a few. You know, we've seen backbiting, we've seen tattletelling, we've seen all sorts, you know, in the industry. Do you think you share in that game, or you just sit from afar watching and wondering what all of this is?
This beef didn't start today. This kind of backbiting you talked about. There was a time it became like not a squad. What do you call that thing?
Cult?
No, not cult. Where you have this person not fucking with the other team, that team not fucking with the other team. What's that thing called now? Like a clique. Yeah, cliques. You know, it didn't start today. It's been on. But I must say that. Sorry, excuse me. I must say that it's not only predominant among Benin artists. I mean, it's there. Tupac, Biggie, and all of that stuff. But the thing is, instead of people to focus more on their craft, music, they exert more energy on beef. Beef is part of the music industry, but can I say I share in their blames? No. I know they do music.
No, the entertainment industry in general. Have you in any way instigated any?
I may have unknowingly. I mean,
there was a time like someone that would instigate a beef.
Maybe not instigate. You know, sometimes you could say this person is. I have blacklisted a few guys. Yeah, I make sure I don't play your music. All the shows popping, don't play your music. You know, I've done that before. But if I know what I know now, maybe not. You know, I used to be very unforgiving. But with age, I had grown past that. You know, I am usually the first to apologize, whether you're the one who was wrong or not. I'm more mature now. If I could, I would take that back. That time, you know, I'll take it back. But we're just youngsters who are trying to do stuff, You know, I blacklisted a few artists in my head. Anyhow, when I want to do them, you know. But these days, no, I don't think along that line. I don't think that's the way to growth. I think people should pay more attention to their craft, irrespective. Pay more attention, read more, learn how to do stuff that other people do to survive and all of that, to blow, like they say. Yes, I have instigated some very crazy beefs, you know. Instigated? No, not instigate. Maybe one or two instigated, you know. But that's a long time ago.
And I'm sure you saw the very recent one of between One Touch and Sleazy.
I don't understand that beef. I don't know how it started, you know. But I know two of them are rude. I know Sleazy is rude. I know One Touch is rude. But two of them are one of my boys, man. You know, I like them. You know, you remember the first video Sleazy actually shot? Well, I knew Sleazy when Sleazy could have probably been, you know, because he's big now. He might come out tomorrow to say he's older than me. I knew Sleazy when Sleazy would have been probably 20. You know, his first video was Who No One Dance. I still have that video. You know, I had no Sleazy through his music life, but I can't say same for One Touch. You know, I just met One Touch. In fact, the first time I saw One Touch one-on-one would be the 9th edition of the South Music Awards, which was in I can't remember.
2014.
No,
15?
no, that means it's not been. The first time I saw this guy was like 7 years ago. That's what I'm saying.
That's about that time.
But I've seen videos. He knows me. I know him. I've played his songs. But I had never met him. First time I met him will be maybe 7 years ago. But Sleazy I had known a very long time. So I do not understand how that beef was. I asked somebody, could you explain to me? And the person was talking about the Seniors, that song, Seniors, the record, and you know, that was what caused the beef. I really don't know. I'm not privy
to it.
Yeah. I don't know what started it, but I think beef is something that just is in the industry, man. if you don't beef, there's no industry.
So before we let you go on the podcast, what are your thoughts about the city and, you know, the current crop of entertainers, broadcasters, you know, musicians and comedians alike? What are your thoughts? Where do you think we're headed? Do you think there is any bit of positivity here? And if you would, or if you could, are you looking to, you know, set up something in the city sometime soon, God willing, you know, if it's within your power, so that the city can continue to blossom and grow?
I think there's so much hate in the city right now. Amongst
hate, you said?
Yeah. Amongst practitioners, you know. Life is short.
No, it seems like we would have to pause you there on the hate thing, and
that's where I'm going to.
Yeah, let's just. When you say so much hate between practitioners,
yeah,
are you talking about people that are of your era who are still around? Because I do know, I've heard a lot of things about how, you know, they just smile in each other's faces and then nothing.
I don't know anybody.
Because I know you wouldn't know too much about the budding, emerging arts. I mean, you wouldn't know too much about how they move. So now that you have specified there is too much hate, are you talking from a space of those who you know and you probably just move around with?
I see their comments or their posts on Facebook. That's how I know. I see it on Instagram. I see the beef, just like you mentioned, between these two cats. You know, I think they exert too much energy, you know, on hate. Imagine somebody drops a whack song that's not nice. You see one strong old guy that has been in the game and telling that person that song is very good. That's hate. That's hate.
Oh,
do video for this song. Do video for this song. I listen to the song. The song is whack. That's hate.
But who put you in a pole position to determine a whack song, though?
Let me tell you, some of us are lucky. If I hear a song once and I like it, subconsciously, that song has a tendency of, you know, moving to a particular level. If I get to listen to your song 3 times, it means the song is bad. Like I hear the first time, I try to okay, let's justify. For example, Wahala Day by P Square. You know, P Square forced themselves on us. you don't like them, you listen, you now like the song. Do you understand? Well, I listened to Wahala did the first time. Like, okay, it's P Square, because of P Square, let me listen. What if that song was done by another artist? Maybe I wouldn't like it at all.
So give an example of songs in the city. Over
I
the
dare
years
not. I dare not.
I mean, you're Fidel Castro. Why can't you?
I'm older. That's the difference. You know, I don't still do.
I for like just hear at least one or two where you feel say the song work, but people
maybe if you play for me, I would know.
No, I feel just they remind you of.
Okay, maybe remind me.
I feel just they remind you of artists. I don't go mention the songs. I could just mention the name. You can't take and say this guy get wax song. You will come mention the
almost
song.
Every Nigerian artist has a wax song.
And so just tell us. I want just mention the ones for Benin. You will just tell us say this guy get wax.
No,
song.
Benin boys are rude, man. You know. But some artists I hear, you know, the world is a global village. Apart from the comedians, comedians, those guys who make skits and all of that. Apart from those guys, I don't see any genuine love among every other sect.
Is there love genuine though? Do you think it is?
No.
Or it just appears to you?
Just like you asked me, how do you determine this person's love for me is genuine? Everything, every other one is spiritual, you know, spiritual stuff. Yeah, but sometimes it shows that this person has my back. Among the comedians, and yeah, cool. This new generation, oh. Then the guys from my side, like I said, they were really few, but they come.
But now everybody, that's because now all of them don't grow. Do you think they still exhibit that no love? I've heard things, right? But because now they host the podcast, I know they in the pole position to talk verbatim and the things I don't hear, right? But I've heard things. But these guys from your era, so
yeah.
Do you think that they are promoting love within themselves, or they are still in the business of
maybe you should name the guys that I don't know? Okay,
so I'll give you an example. I've always just heard that people like there's this friction that always just happens between, say, a Maleke and a Godfather.
Yeah, that happens. Yes, that happens.
So it's just from the streets. They just say, "I'm gonna leave this movie there, shake now." Say, "Leke, after that one, nah."
No, that one they happen now. That one they steady.
So exactly what I'm saying. So
okay, in that regard, you are a bad person. Now, there are a few guys that are actually not my friends. I might be their friend. There are some that are my friends, I may not necessarily be theirs. For example, Andy Bello is my guy. Even when we are cousins, we found out we are cousins like 4 years into Breakfast Groove, yeah? But we don't believe we are cousins, we are friends. I know some people, one or two persons, they are not really friends, but they actually think they are friends because I hear stuff from this one and I hear stuff from that one. I'm like, I want to die. You know, I've also heard guys talk smack about me too. You know, I mean, there's this guy, I won't mention his name. Okay, his name is Godfather. Godfather, you ask Godfather, we tease him with it, yeah? Godfather can, with a single question, tell you every single property in his apartment. Godfather will kill me. You know, we not give him a name. They gave him a name.
Give like I'm trying to wrap my head around how that is possible.
Maybe you should
ask you about. So, what do you think about? There's an ongoing rehabilitation of the King Square in Ring Road. You don't see that fine flyover way they do for
man. You know, the first time I see that King Square. Now me and this guy they talk about and they come my house. So as he clean his shoe for my. This they just enter. Not tell us, not wear shoe. Now I don't think they used to make clean the shoe. Not wear shoe enter my rug. This rug, now very expensive. Because okay, make I not vex. He can't go outside. They can't dust the shoe put outside. So as he come inside, now he sit down. Now I say no, that couch. Now me they sit down for the couch. But if you sit down for this other one, we near the fridge. I don't really get problem because that fridge now, the fridge. Now something really very precious to me because two things I know this in the play. That my fridge and this my AC. Because this AC as I put on for this place now, because the thing they chill well. Why I raise and go up, you see, I don't want to make it touch that wardrobe because the wardrobe will block the ventilation. So most times I dey prefer say if guy just come my house now, I'll be two. Now if you just enter my bedroom, because my bedroom they bigger than my sitting room. You understand? But why not the two like people they enter that bedroom? They say that bedroom is a sacred place because get some things like my sex toys now where they by the side of something like that.
That's a good place to wrap up the podcast.
But you need to clear this one though.
Wait till I want clear now.
No, I mean Godfather is mine.
Hey, we all know
guy.
now. It's your guy now. You just talk now. Say your boy say Godfather. If you ask a question about anything, go find go to tell you about the properties. Where
I don't think he still does that though.
You wouldn't know because I've not been around him in a while. Let those that have been around him speak for him. Fidel, thank you for coming to the Onplanned podcast. Many more will happen, of course, because I mean this is just the tip of the iceberg with Fidel Castro. We all know that he's a custodian. He's a custodian of the movement around here, and we would always just have him from time to time because there will be, trust me, there will be people who would come here and say some things that I'm going to need you to clarify, perhaps over the phone if we cannot wait for you to get back to the city. But thank you for popping up all the way from Abuja down to Benin. We're going to eat from here, right? And Smith is not going with us. Smith, you know, go follow us. I'm sorry,
we
Smith
need to go
is
eat.
right behind the camera, and Ego is here too. Joe, my assistant producer, Joe Vagi, is from Benue State. Very ridiculously fine man, is behind me. And so shout out to everybody who played a part or two. Ensure to follow us on our socials and subscribe to Monewmental. This is the place where you'd find all the episodes of the Onplanned podcast. We're also now available on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Music, and other podcast platforms. So go check us out if you will. It's always a pleasure being here. I'll see you next time. Until then, from me, peace and love.